Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today's webinar. Hi, Luke. Hi, Stefan. Super excited to see you today, guys. Thanks a lot, everyone, for taking the time. While we are waiting for the people to gather, I want to share that I am super excited for today's one because this should be very interesting and this should be like hands-on experience, real. I took a sneak peek on Luke's presentation, and it's actually packed. And uh, yeah, it's just awesome, man. It's just want to say personally, I admire your path as a company, and we look at you as a good example, and it would be super cool to learn your playbooks, learn your secrets. So we are having people gathering little by little. And I want to say, please do make this event, please do make this webinar interactive. So don't hesitate to ask questions, don't hesitate to share your opinions, and just drop something in the chat. First of all, please, there is a Q&A button on your Zoom client, and please let us know if you can hear us well, if you can see us well, if everything is fine with the picture. And yeah, Mika says, hey, can hear, super cool, glad to see you today. So Stefan will be helping me in the chat as well. And to just give you a little structure, we will have a big section for Luke. Then I will take my part and tell a little bit about nurturing and how we can, how nurturing can fit into the inbound-led outbound picture. And we will have a Q&A in the end. But if you have questions that are relevant to what we are talking about right now, please drop them right away, and we can address them right away so that it's more interesting and interactive. Anyways, so just, I don't know if you guys need an introduction. Vuk is CMO of HeyReach. They did an amazing job of growing to 15 million. 15 million, it's like crazy numbers. Less than in 3 years, right? How long was it?
I think it's 1 month above 3 years. So let's say
Wow,
around 3 years.
that's just crazy. That's just crazy, man. So super excited. Thanks a lot for being here. And before you share all your secrets, before we extract all your wisdom, please tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
First and foremost, thanks for the invite and for all the kind words. I really appreciate it. I think besides working as a CMO at HeyReach, I started as a copywriter, kind of rose my way through the ranks. I consider myself as a creative marketer that somehow embraced growth marketing along the way. Kind of made a fine hybrid cocktail of it, and been in B2B SaaS, too long now. Getting old, can't stop it, and so far the things are good. I can't complain, and my promise to you today is actionable, no BS stuff. I'll show you literally everything except for what my NDA prevents me. Even though Stefan tried to convince me, but it's impossible.
Awesome. So yeah, let's get into it. Please do share. We're super excited to see this.
Yep, let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, all nice and clear. We can.
Cool. Okay, so don't mind me looking at the right. It's going to be on my other screen. But yeah, so today's story, I mean, this graph, looks dope, and it gives me like a nice rush of dopamine. But obviously, it's not all sunshines and rainbows on these stories. There's been like a lot of ups and downs and things like that. And primarily, what's worked really great for us as a company is word of mouth with a little bit of inbound led outbound, which I want to show you today. How it looks like behind the revenue numbers, which are the numbers that are our KPIs and that my department and all others are responsible. So there's 6,500 companies approximately using HeyReach at this point in time. Average profitability has been nice. Like I think we're all very addicted to profitability at this company. So it's been around like 60% since, if you take 2026. Average profitability metric, there's been 5,000, a little bit more than that, like free trials per month that we've been producing. And the HeyReach brand as a whole has been one of our key strengths. Even though this kind of like belongs to marketing, it's not marketing that only contributes to this. The entire company does it. The co-founders, sales, success, support, devs, everybody really is kind of like behind it. And our best performing channel in terms of like revenue and users, 90% of growth comes from there, has been really word of mouth. And if you think about it, like our funnel as a whole, like I'm just going to give you a couple of let's say intro slides, like why does this work before jumping into tactics. Is there's nothing revolutionary about our funnel. It's a user signs up, it's a free trial model, we push for activation, we push for conversion, and after conversion the whole point is, and the KPI that makes me most excited is the user win rate. For us it's very easy to measure that. It's like positive replies, meetings booked and things like that, helping the users win in the long run so that we can kind of grow both acquisition and retention, at the same time. And if you do that, it inevitably drives word of mouth. It's the nature of the audience. But what's interesting right here is the reason why we picked word of mouth as a channel in general, even in the early days, is just, we understood our ICP really well, meaning our ICP are lead gen agencies, sales teams, growth teams, a little bit of recruiters, but primarily these three I mentioned first. And one of the key things about them is that they use LinkedIn, but also other social media accounts to not only grow their authority, but also as an acquisition channel. And before joining HeyReach full-time as a CMO, I was their consultant. And one thing I realized when they were 15K MRR, I think was officially when I joined, was that without any marketing whatsoever, people were mentioning the tool because it's in the nature of how they, approach their personal brands and things like that. And so for me, this was really the brainwave of word of mouth is where we should focus on. And every initiative that marketing does, it needs to have word of mouth as a component. And so if you take, traditional marketing channels, you have SEO, LLMs, newsletters, product marketing, ads, etc. But as distribution layers, but one additional distribution layer that I wanted was the users, our integration partners, any collaborator whatsoever, to share this without us, pulling their sleeve and saying, hey, can you please share this content that we make? But we kind of make it evergreen. So they want to share it, and it makes sense for them to do so. And so that was the logic why this was the focus. And, luckily, it's been a good decision. And if you take it, the funnel, like this is how our marketing world kind of looks like. I tried to draw it as simple as I could. I'll explain this throughout the presentation, like free trials and warm leads. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what it means, but these are the two primary KPIs, for my department. And these are the channels kind of like grouped how they work. Today, we won't be going through all of the channels, but the ones that are specifically related to word of mouth and inbound lead. And so without further ado, the tactics itself, Stefan, whenever there's a question, feel free to interrupt me anytime you want. The integration loop. For us, this has been the first ever growth strategy used because we made a very strategic decision that we want to make HeyReach adapt to the user and not user adapt to HeyReach. What does that mean? Is that we want to be the number one LinkedIn outreach tool in the world. We don't want to have every single feature such as, enrichment or email outreach or whatever. And so instead of developing all those features, we just focus on LinkedIn outreach and making sure that we follow what we believed was the trend in the world 3 years ago. And that is the user can connect any tool that they want as long as HeyReach fits. It's, easy for them. But on the flip side, to that coin is the fact that when you're integrating, you want to prioritize integrations that not only your users want, which is checkpoint number one. Checkpoint number two is what are the distribution networks we want to tap into. And one of the first ones that we did was Clay, which was phenomenal for us. And once you kind of develop the integration, devs finish their work, you start promoting. A typical recipe in the growth space is a webinar, which is something that we did as well. Make it as actionable as possible. And usually the logic is that we kind of leverage is triple threat promotion, which means somebody from Clay, somebody from HeyReach, somebody who's a power user of both tools, so that we amplify distribution of the webinar. And then the thing that we did during, like when the webinar was finishing, you organized this viral contest, which the logic was you want to give users proper incentives to use our two tools together, accomplish some good results, and share it. In that process, you generate a lot of organic posts, but the incentives have to be good and the audience has to be right. We tested this with different tools. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The one that worked the best was obviously Clay, for obvious reasons. And you kind of generate a lot of results, online. And so that was one of the first word of mouth, let's say, tactics that we use, and the way it was kind of fitted into the integration and webinar loop. And this is how it looks. Like, obviously, this wasn't a contest, but you can see some of the people, the way they're kind of doing it. It's almost always an authority post. It's not like a sales promo post. You don't really pay for it. The logic is like they're all like building their authority and mentioning you as the tool that they use, and it only accumulates and amplifies. You're kind of stacking that up as you go. But the tactical aspect of why Clay works so well and why it generated hundreds of these posts during the viral contest is it was the most important tool for agencies. HeyReach was very heavily focused on agencies in the early days. Even though we had sales and growth teams using us, agencies were the ideal fit. And what we discovered is that their ops and their company rested on Clay. So we had to develop this integration. It was a clear ICP fit, right? Then no other LinkedIn tool, for some reason, had a Clay integration, even though there were tools before us. Plus, a lot of competitors, including some of the multi-channel tools, they didn't want to develop it. They tried to develop their own features, for that, which is also could be a good decision. But for us, developing that integration fast, I think it was Clay who approached us in the beginning, and that gave us the first mover advantage. And for a year and some months, even above a year, no other LinkedIn outreach tool managed to tap into their network, which gave us a huge opportunity to have this first mover advantage and penetrate that market in a good way. And from the marketing perspective, what was fun for me is that Clay is a very loved brand. It has a huge amount of customer advocates. And so glue all that together, that's the reason why the webinar contest and everything worked and how it was engineered, I guess. And it's the same model that you can apply to any other loop. So for example, content. Or let's say you had like hundreds of posts of people after that webinar. You can take all these posts and some others where people are mentioning you and convert them into some content assets. For us, the first initiative was outbound outliers, where we showcase how users are crushing it. And anytime somebody would mention HeyReach or mention GTM, outreach, outbound, we were doing like outreach towards them and said, hey, like we want to showcase your work. You're going to be, in the spotlight. And the idea was once we developed that content piece, we distributed together, unlocking another, word of mouth behind it. But the reason, why this works is there are 3 rules I think you need to follow. The rule number 1 is this is not a B2B case study. It's not that, for example, let's say Stefan was the user I'm approaching. Like, it's not HeyReach that helps Stefan crush it. It's Stefan's skills that are crushing outreach. HeyReach is just, a vehicle he uses and enjoys using. And so Stefan is the Batman. HeyReach is his Batmobile, right? And that's the way we kind of, positioned it. And the whole case study was about the user and their way of doing, outreach. And because there's many different GTM workflows you can do, there's hundreds of stories you could tell. And the number of potential, content assets was infinite. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is HeyReach has to have product placement, but it must never be like selling features or being too aggressive with the feature naming and things like that. Like, what you want to do is you want to show the pain point that user was experiencing, and you want to show the outcome that user was able to get in a way to make it relatable to the audience. Because if they can relate to the pain point and they can relate to the outcome, this is the best way for you to drive conversions either directly or indirectly through content. Yeah. I'm laughing at the Stefan's Kobe Bryant thing, but that was the second rule. And you just want to focus on the ICP language, everything around the ICP and how you can calculate it. And then the third thing is Once outbound outlier story is out there, or potentially a YouTube video or a blog article, or whatever content asset you're creating, what you want to do is you want to be very aggressive in distribution. Like for me, there are two wins or two KPIs. One KPI is HeyReach growth. The other KPI is the growth of the user we're showcasing. Because to give a proper motivation for a user to share this organically without us asking all the time or begging them, is for us to have like leverage and bring them some value. And so Joel was an example of an outbound outlier story that we did. Rob was our YouTube creator. They both are agency owners. And so we started distributing and we started generating not only leads for us, but leads for them. And we always kept close in touch. So you can see the messages in some of the YouTube comments in these two situations, but this is the thing. And so once they see that, it's an organic validation that this is working. And so they will gladly share it because it might generate them more leads. And they will gladly speak positively about collaborating with us or want to do some more content. And that's the logic. Like you just want to be unselfish with the win-win aspect. Like we have to both win to make this sustainable in the long run, right? Obviously, you're not going to win with every single case, but you learn from mistakes and make the others better. Next principle is the collaboration flywheel. Again, like it's nothing new. It's, you find creators relevant to your audience for what you want to accomplish. That can be an individual goal that you have with your personal brand. That can be a goal that your company has, or ideally both. And then you just have to be very strategic and very thorough into out of, let's say, 100 potential collaborators. Why do I want to collaborate with these 20 and not with these 80? It's because of the audience that they have. It's because of, the ideal content fit or whatever the case may be. Like you have to have a clear way of segmenting and prioritizing the right collaborators. And then you have to figure out an angle, like how can I create content that benefits us both? And then again, it's the same thing. Once it goes live, ideally you start distributing, you deliver value, and they kind of think of you as a good collaboration partner. And this, you can do for whatever content piece you want. Like for example, Clay templates. Clay integration was launched. There was a bunch of organic posts. There were some outbound outlier stories. What's the next thing we can do? We can showcase Clay templates. Now, of course, I can ask Umer, who's our head of GTM, to showcase his, which he did. But I also wanted users who are offering Clay services, who are agency owners, who are building their authority in the sales and growth world to do the same. And so why not, if you're already sharing your Clay template on LinkedIn, why don't you collaborate with us so we can showcase your template in front of the entire audience? The more we grew, the more our distribution channels were desired by other people. Like, I don't know, like 60, 70K subscribers in the newsletter, distribution and everything that we had. And you can see that once this is developed, usually it leads to people sharing these templates online and kind of like fuels another way of this content loop. Same thing for YouTube videos, but this is where it's interesting. YouTube recently developed, recently, like it was a while back now, but the ability, you record the video, you ship it out, like why just showcase it on your channel? Why don't you showcase it on 2 channels at the same time? But, again, you have to make it make sense, like proper collaborators, proper network and everything. And usually once the YouTube video is out there, everybody wants to promote it elsewhere. So they ship it in their LinkedIn profiles, in their newsletters, in their app, like whatever the case may be. And so you're kind of unlocking a lot of good stuff, there. Same for like your LinkedIn profile. These are 2 completely different examples. On the left is a collaboration with Sarah, who's a dear friend. We're both like creative marketers. And so we did this post together. It has nothing to do with HeyReach. It has to do something with my LinkedIn profile. Up until they temporarily removed me, but before they did that, like I had a bunch of fun like doing stuff like that. And on the right is a pure HeyReach example. Like we do a lot of events, it's a part of our strategy, and so the same logic. Instantly integration, there's Mina from Instantly, there's Stan, who's a power user of both tools. We promoted together. It was an offline event in my city, so in Belgrade, and you can collaborate in this way as well. So there's like unlimited amount of opportunities, for these things if you select collaborators in the right way. Now, at some point, I think summer last year, we had hundreds and hundreds of organic mentions on LinkedIn and a couple of on X and YouTube and things like that. And we started thinking, okay, next thing that we can do is we can develop our own influencer program, right? The way we did it is we have two, so HeyReach experts, superpower users, deeply, GTM, deep GTM knowledge and things like that, and HeyReach creators who are more of, let's say, authority figures in the GTM space, also users of HeyReach. There are some subtle differences between the two programs, but we, started with two, and the logic was, okay, what can we give these guys to develop a relationship where we're just not saying, hey, here's money, post this post and it's done, but kind of like create long-term relationship, with them. And, we had like different benefits, from, access to HeyReach product roadmap and influence on what we develop next, sending them leads, benefits of doing some events with us or flying them to specific things. Like there's like a bunch of things, that you can do. And on the flip side, they kind of create content with us together, and it's their profiles, their rules, but we kind of create that content together. And so up until I think like 285 days since the program started, we had 1,000 posts from these guys, which is phenomenal. And it's the same target, which is we are tapping into each other's network. We're promoting their stuff in our network. They're promoting us in theirs, giving us that win-win concept, which is essential if you want to develop word of mouth. This is how it looks, like a couple of examples, from different people, different experts, different creators. And there's like disengagement amplification, and there's a bunch of warm leads here. But again, the logic is we grow together, and this is what makes it fun and profitable in the long run, right? And also amplifies your reach by, in an unlimited way. Online and offline events, phenomenal channel for us. If you're like having doubts about events, like for us, they've been phenomenal. You can't attribute them 100%, but you can attribute them in a very reasonable way. We do both offline and online all the time. These are some examples, I think, like from the HeyReach World Tour, like London, Berlin, I think this was Warsaw, Belgrade. We've done a lot in San Francisco. Like there's a bunch of these things. And, at some events, there's us from HeyReach. At some events, there are our experts. At some events, there are creators, sometimes all together. And you can unlock these things very, very strategically. Online, obviously, no-brainer. Webinars such as this one. Like, again, you're looking for win-win concepts here. But all this type of stuff that you do, both organically and through influencers, then gives you an opportunity to unlock an additional layer. And this is the thing you're kind of stacking. Like you don't have to do everything from day one. You're literally just building something that just grows more. And for us, the next thing was LinkedIn ads, which even though my CEO and CRO were pushing me to start ads sooner, like we agreed that we should wait a little bit until we have a proper retargeting funnel, and that I can, build word of mouth in a relatively predictable way so that our LinkedIn ads can be profitable from day one, which they were. And the big reason why they were was the combination of our experts and the creator program and organic ambassadors who were posting, and mentioning us on their own. So you take all of these posts, you find ones that have nice organic validation, so cool likes, cool engagement, relevant people engaging on it, and then you boost it. By boosting, you're not only trying to generate revenue for you, you're also boosting their profile, which is the win-win concept there. And these are two reports, like from two individual thought leadership ads from LinkedIn, and you can see like 110 conversions, paying for like $1.22 for cost per conversion. Same, below, very similar metric. It's like very, very profitable thing. And the best thing is that you're going to start generating a lot of information. And so, okay, these posts are great for boosting, these posts not so much. Let's communicate this to the network. Like if you build posts like this, we can boost them even more. Also good feedback for your own team. Like at any given point in time, HeyReach had like 10 plus people being active on LinkedIn. So we knew if we want to do something that drives leads, a post that drives leads, these are the posts that work the best. And so you take the knowledge, you apply it to another channel, and you also reinvest in your thought leadership ads in the next round. And every single month, like in advance, like this was performing like crazy, and the return on ad spend was 20x. So very, very profitable. And the best thing is you can take all that content. This is an example of a boosted posts, by the way. with our user who later became a creator, a very cool GTM guy. Shout out to him. And these are then all the lessons you can take and build some different ads that are not thought leadership ads, but that are ads that usually you go through retargeting or even like cold ads. For example, like show the funnels. Multi-channel funnel that performed well in a thought leadership post can be repurposed in a proper ad. You can give a shout out. Here's Joel again, showing his outbound outlier story. And there's an example of some of our integration partners, experts, and creators, like all glued together, but with a copy that has an outcome, has a very clear lingo that our ICP kind of wants to hear. And I'm not an ads guy. Like I have an agency that does the targeting and all the technical things. My job is the creative and understanding, that aspect, but, glue us all together. And this has worked phenomenal. Like LinkedIn ads have been profitable. Google ads are slowly going to become profitable. I think it's a little bit of a different.
Look, sorry, there is a question here from Bojidar. He says, how do thought leadership ads help your promoters? You mentioned that it helps boost their profile.
Yeah, so they were also getting leads from it. They were also getting new connections. People were interested in, connecting with them if the posts are good. And usually the posts that we boosted were thought leadership ones. So it wasn't like, HeyReach is my LinkedIn outreach tool. It was, here's my funnel that develops, like 23% reply rate. I use Clay, Claude, and HeyReach. So it wasn't a HeyReach ad. It was an ad, an authority ad, right? Which were performing best, to be honest. But yeah, and these concepts then, we're applying them now in Google ads, Meta ads, and, different things. And it's really, really fun. But for LinkedIn, we no longer have the company page, so I can't run them, but this is a profitable formula. Anybody who wants to talk more, detailedly about it, it's, no brainer if you have like a stable inbound and word of mouth channel in your business. Now, an interesting thing that I always wanted to do, and I finally got to do it at HeyReach, was fueling user wins. So with the positive reply metric that we have a way of measuring success, and obviously with the reply rate, the number of connections accepted. And so you can show your users in a very clear way how they're winning by showcasing visually data in an interesting way. And you kind of make it easy to share. Whenever we send something like this, there's a button share now. If they share it, we send some HeyReach swag and things like that. Like there's a bunch of stuff that we do that completes the funnel. But Spotify Wrapped, not a new thing. I always wanted to do it, and we finally did it like last year. Very simple stuff that again fueled a bunch of posts. And the way we did the Wrapped is not only showcasing their victories, but there was also a little bit of humor to put a smile on their face, very aligned with the brand and the way we kind of communicate with our user base. And you can do this for a bunch of other things. Like, for example, Christina, who's our community and social manager, shout out to her, had a great idea for 8th of March, which was, okay, there's not a lot of ladies in the GTM space that are doing proper GTM funnels and things like that. So let's give them something to put them in the spotlight. You obviously have sales reps and everybody, but GTM engineers, typically it's a guy thing. And I'm really happy now it's becoming more of a thing for everyone. So we did this like Pipeline Queen campaign, which was, focused on the power users who were ladies. Once they did that, we had some very limited caps like Pipeline Queen and this type of stuff. Also very, cool campaign for a very specific amount of users compared to, for example, HeyReach Wrapped. When you launch things, like when we launched positive reply rate, this was a strategy that was leveraged, again, showcase their quarterly success in an interesting way that, again, fueled a bunch of additional posts. You're going to have different success with every campaign. It really depends on, how you do it and what's the timing. But for us, it's another example of not only fueling word of mouth, but showcasing users how successful they are in a cool way, which kind of brings you closer to your users. And all this together, usually the question I get is, how do you measure it? Don't do branding from day one and that type of stuff. The way I always explain it is, attribution is nice. We always try to have like attribution, and we do to some extent, but there's no 100% attribution with this whole thing. But the point that I try to explain is that marketing, sales, but also success support, other business departments, they should not work in silos, creating different worlds, like the perfect path. Like the user will see LinkedIn post from my expert or my LinkedIn ad, they will convert, then they will increase their average revenue per user over time. Like it doesn't work that way. Like it works. Sales team sends an outreach, then they see our ad, then they see our LinkedIn post, and then they convert. Like there's like unlimited amount of paths that the user can take. What you want to do is you want to have the assist mentality, which means we should capture signals, merge them into some way that makes sense. Like this person has visited our website, a pricing page, interacted with our ad about HubSpot integration. And so it's ideal for warm outreach. And so it's not marketing or sales that internally should fight who's more responsible for converting or booking this meeting. The whole point is it's not the assist or the shot, it's the bucket. If the bucket is in, that means the revenue is in. Who gives a rats about did marketing do more or sales do more? And luckily, it's the culture that we have in the company. And so exchanging this intelligence and measuring, when you're talking about attribution, measuring what gave us that signal. Like if this ad was good, let's double down on that ad funnel. If these posts were good, let's double down on those posts. Let's not waste on conversation, oh, ads is working or not working, right? So it's the way you kind of interpret that data and talk to your team about it. And so every channel nowadays can contribute to revenue. We have the technology to make attribution relatively accurate, not 100%, but relatively, to point you in the right direction. And in a way, inbound is fueling outbound, and vice versa. Outbound is fueling inbound as well. And bringing me to my promise earlier in the presentation, like my 2 KPIs. We have free trial signups and warm leads. Free trial signups, very logical stuff. Like you also want to not always pay too much attention about the total amount of free trials that you generate. You want to qualify them and then measure total number of qualified free trials are we generating. We split them in tiers. How many are agencies, how many big agencies, small agencies, sales teams, growth teams, and everybody else. When you're doing targeted campaigns, whether it's like Black Friday, you're getting some DMs on your profile or you're doing ads, it's relatively easy to have the reports. But on the flip side, there's a bunch of cool things happening where you have to have a good GTM system, which is, your website visitors, your leads engaging on your posts, on posts of your influencers, on posts of your organic users, companies that are engaging on your ads, like people attending events, online, offline, different, flank outreach attacks if you're doing something specific with outreach for a dedicated audience. And so the way we measure it is kind of like marketing influence pipeline that you can easily see in HubSpot thanks to Clay and some AI agents. And we send that stuff usually to sales because what we want them to do is, besides cold outreach that they're doing, do warm outreach as well, because warm outreach is where users already have some trust developed with us. They already know us. They're already maybe with 1 foot, across the door. We just want to give our sales enough information about how to make the copy relevant and how to make it timely, so it comes at the right point in time. And the reply rates are very, are higher than cold outreach on its own. Examples like free trials. We qualify them, like I said. They're steering, and this is the first campaign we ran. When there's an agency that needs to hop on a demo with a sales rep, or there's a bigger sales team, like you can see that it works like a charm. And not only that, but the conversion rate when we started doing this, and it was a long time ago for the first time, it was 9%. After we glued, and started collaborating with sales, it jumped to 17%, because we had a simple way of splitting self-serve versus sales-led. And obviously you need to improve this as time flies, because you're going to get more diverse users inside. But this is one very, very interesting way to do it if you have a lot of inbound free trials coming in. Engagers, whether it's like LinkedIn posts, YouTube videos, X tweets, like whatever, your profiles or other people's profiles, you can export engagers, qualify them, and then again run different types of outreach. Works really well. Our reps use it consistently. Even us in marketing, we use it for specific marketing, collaboration. Same things for ads. Like for LinkedIn, since we talked about it, like you run LinkedIn ads, and then sometimes there's a sign up and there's a conversion. Great, ads work perfectly. but then there's free trial qualification. If, for example, somebody signs up for a free trial but doesn't convert, this is potentially an opportunity if it's a self-serve to do some retargeting or even sales-led. But if it's a sales-led, it's an opportunity for warm outreach. So our sales rep can, oh, this person has sent a campaign, got some replies, try to integrate Clay, they didn't succeed, let's reach out and, fix it. And you can do the same with, give me all the companies who have interacted with our ads, but they are not in our CRM, which are warm-ish leads, depending on, the lead in particular. And again, same rule, you can do retargeting or you can do outreach or you can do both. And there's a bunch of other things that you can do, like a sales team can send you like the list of leads, you upload it to Meta, Meta gives you a match rate, and then you can run ads and run outreach at the same time strategically to make sure you're on top of people's minds when the outreach message gets there. And an example of such an inbound-led campaign is this from our head of sales, Nadja. So this was summer last year. What we did is at that time, we launched a couple of agency features. So I think it was workspaces, also N10 integration and things like that. And so what she did is, okay, give me everybody who visited our website in the last 30 days that has a high ICV deal potential and that's qualified as an agency. So it has an ICP fit. These were the tools that were used, and you can see the results. And you can see the LinkedIn outreach campaign at, in HeyReach. And it works like a charm. Even the message itself wasn't short. It was like longer, but it was very, very on point, very relevant. Like it's no longer a question of, do I like fully automate or fully personalize? The only thing you want to do is you want to make it relevant and do it at the right time. And it's going to work. No matter how good the copy is. Like copy can be okay and still work if it's relevant and timely. And the best part is that inbound like this also fuels outbound when they're doing cold outreach. Sometimes in the replies that they share on our Slack is they mention, hey, I heard of HeyReach, I thought about creating an account and things like that. And so you're already placing HeyReach, somewhere in their mind when somebody from HeyReach reaches out, and it kind of boosts the reply rate a little bit. And that's the thing. Like I think this is the key point that I'm making is that it's not marketing who's leading this party. It's all of us together because we're helping one another, and your primary objective is just exchanging this data and making sure that all channels are generating revenue. And if I or anybody from marketing has to be the guy or the girl who scores the winning 3 or just passes a cup of water to a teammate, we can do anything. Like we will do everything just as long as it drives revenue and brand awareness and that. And so with that in mind, I think this is all I had for you. Hopefully delivered on the actionable promise. And like I said, I can no longer connect with you on LinkedIn, but I can do so on X. Give me a few months. I think I'll be back, but yeah, thank you.
Awesome. That was super cool. Thanks a lot for sharing all this. And it's super cool to hear, the whole story behind the scenes, because when you guys were posting like we hit 7 million ARR, we hit 8 million ARR, like week after week, like month after month, and it was just crazy to see. And when you see the actual engine, when you see the actual power behind this, it's super cool to hear. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I definitely will be stealing some of the plays for us as well. And guys, please do share the questions. You have the Q&As button downstairs. And we also have a short version where I wanted to share what you actually can do after you get your leads, like after you build the marketing machine. And I also want to emphasize what Vukis just said, that it shouldn't be silos. It should be marketing working with sales. And the big part of this process is actually how do you play the long game? How do you keep your connections with your prospects or with your potential buyers for a very long time? So you don't just do the outreach, but what happens after the outreach? What happens if they don't buy right away? Especially if you're selling something that is not so like PLG as maybe a HeyReach product or our product. What if your sales cycle is longer? And our answer to this, what we try to build and what we try to preach is actually playing the long game. And I wanted to share a couple of things about what I think about it. So what is the biggest issue with playing the long game? When you ask your reps, when you try to do it yourself as a founder, is that it's usually a second priority. You want pipeline today, and it's just tedious to do. Like if you want to comment on your prospects' posts, if you want to DM casually, not just reaching out to them, usually it's like quite difficult. You need to update your CRM, you need to do this and that, you need to keep track of your prospects, and usually like people just don't do it. So, but it's super effective. We actually measured in our platform, we actually have the statistics, how commenting on your prospects posts improve your reply rates and your acceptance rates. And it's actually like 2x. We analyzed 30K connection requests sent through Extrovert, and it is double. So when you comment a couple of times, you don't need more. But if you do it like lightly, it really amplifies your chances, and also influence reply rates as well. And the logic, super simple. No kind of rocket science here. Is if you sell to people, you don't want to be perceived as a sequence. So you want to be perceived as a person, because probably you all receive those, connections where you know that you are part of the sequence and you don't even see a person behind this. And even if it's, sometimes relevance trumps it. I agree that if it's relevant, I would reply regardless if it's automated or not. But sometimes it's like, semi-relevant, like it's top 10 of your issues, but not top 5. And it's very important to not be perceived as, as a sequence. And here, comments and DMs and posts combine and amplify each other. So I recently heard one trick from one of our users, that when they do the outreach, their goal in DMs to get a reply, any reply. Like they don't even need to mention their product or pitch or anything like that, because if they get a reply, it's a very strong signal to the algorithm to keep showing them your posts, to keep showing your prospect, your customer, your posts. So your content will nurture them after you get a reply. So you don't need to even pitch. And also happens with comments. So if you comment on someone else's posts, they reply to your comment, it is a signal to the algorithm to push them your content as well. So how do you execute this? How do you execute this strategy? It's super simple. You comment, you DM every once in a while about some unrelated stuff, like just maybe reacting to something what happened in their world without even bringing up your agenda, and you aiming for the long game. So works super effective in our case. Also works with lurkers as well. So one of the pushbacks that we very often hear is that, what do you do when your prospects don't post on LinkedIn? So you actually can reach them with this strategy as well. So you can track what influencers, what other people they follow, and track their content and be part of this post as well. So they see your comments in their feed, regardless if they post themselves or not. And you can use this strategy depending on your market in 2 stages of your funnel. So the first stage, like Vuk just shared, you have the marketing engine, and then you push your leads to sales. You can warm them up with comments before you reach out, and that will improve your basically outreach effectiveness. And you can also do it in the middle of funnel. So you can just run automated sequence, and after that, you can nurture them after you get a reply. Stefan, yeah, we have a question.
Yeah, we have a question here from Bojdar. Hi, Bojdar, how are you? Jokic forever, peace. Okay, so he is mentioning this. Oleg, appreciate the comments about the long game. Our average deal closes in 6 to 9 months, which makes sense as any annual client value is high and contracts are multi-year, but the market feedback loop is slower. Like, give us a comment on this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm not sure if it's a question. Maybe it's just appreciate the take, and yeah, it's just crazy. What I mean, like, maybe one thing that I want to emphasize, if I would like one thing for you to take out from this webinar, is that usually when I ask our users, like people, how long is your sequence? Usually people say it's like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And when I ask them why is it this particular time frame, the usual reply is we want to keep our effort per prospect limited, because we obviously don't have, our capacity is limited. We want to keep it. But if you think about it, very rarely you sell something that is top 3, top 5 of your prospects priority. It's cool if you do. It's cool if you can find the play where you have a signal where it is like that, so you're just super relevant and people just react to your offer right away. But more often than not, it's not the case. More often than not, you need some time. You need to give them time to be ready to evaluate the solution. And what we like to think about is just to divide those two things. So there is an effort per prospect, like how much effort you pay, how much how easy it is for your team to keep in touch with your prospects. And the second thing is how long is the interaction with your prospects. And it is actually not the same thing. So if you build a system, like a nurturing system, like similar to the GTM system with with modern GTM workflows, you can actually keep the effort per prospect very low, but the interaction very long. So you can be in touch, your salespeople can be in touch for months and even for years. And yeah, just wait for them to be ready and wait for them to buy. So why everyone is not doing this is because it's difficult to do without the system. So it's very difficult to do with just vanilla sales navigator or whatever. So you need the system to track. You need the system to manage KPIs and things like that. So we are trying to build the system in our product. You can actually do it other way, of course, but what we are trying to do is to automate this, and we have like the human in the loop approach. So it's a little bit different, and it's in no way a replacement for HeyReach. So how it works is that it actually gives you suggestions for your prospects. And the idea is that you review suggestions, but it's much easier that you would, do it yourself. So one flow is comments. So you have the custom feed for your prospects. You only see your prospects. You only see stuff that you need to see. You don't see the algorithmic stuff. So you can specify like, this is my prospect, this is a topic I want to listen to, this is how I interacted with this prospect, this is the suggestion. And this suggestion is drafted based on your style and your voice, which we know and which we adapt while you use the thing. And if you like the comment, you approve. If you don't, you skip, or you can improve it with your voice, or you can just regenerate. So this covers the first part, which is comments. And the second part, which is also super powerful, which is DMs. and not the outreach DMs, but the nurturing DMs. So you can just go into your DM inbox, and you can see that there is a signal. We call it not an engagement signal, but conversation starter signal. So you actually can see how you can start the convo. So Carl shared a relevant post 11 days ago, and he is apparently promoting Launchpad. So he's my prospect, and he launched a thing like, I don't even know. It's like maybe a product or something, and I wouldn't know about it if I wouldn't be listening to his his feed. If Extrovert wouldn't be listening to his feed. So I can the draft here is mentioning this event. So I say congrats on Launchpad. I can see all posts as well. So I can comment here. I can quickly go back and review my draft, and I can send it. And like in 15 seconds, I'll make a touch point with him. And maybe I need 5 touch points. Maybe I need 10. But when he will be ready, we will have a conversation. We will have a sales call or whatever. So just to sum up, don't want to take a lot of time, because would be cool if we can have more questions coming in about my part or the book's part. One thing from my side, if your total addressable market is like that, if you have your long sales cycles, if you sell to mid-market or up-market, keep the interaction as long as possible. Keep your effort per prospect as low as possible. Thanks a lot. It was my part. And maybe you guys have more questions. Please do share. And yeah, excited for the questions. Stefan, do we have some?
I personally don't see any questions from the audience, but personally just would like to give some insights how I see HeyReach working together with Extrovert on the long run. In particularly, I would see it very, very useful for any of you guys who are here who has long sales cycles. Because then with HeyReach, you can create campaigns and then create these groups and like segment your audience. Meanwhile, with Go Extrovert, you can nurture. So that's the idea around like Go Extrovert. And I see, at least for myself, like I used Go Extrovert and HeyReach exactly with this. When I had the MCP from HeyReach, it was one of the first MCPs that ever actually. Kudos to you guys. You were one of the first to come out with the MCP, and then right after I had the MCP from Extrovert, and then I combined the two, and it was like super great because then I could like send like cold messages and then at the same time nurture people. It was really super cool. So I see a lot of partnership here. Like in between, like Jokic and basketball, something like that, like a strong synergy.
We can easily do a story about how Stefan is kind of crushing it, and then boost you with ads, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
By the way, super curious to hear. I'm not sure if it's like your department, like marketing, or super curious to hear your take about MCPs and agents. Do you guys see that it's shifting towards like people don't log into software anymore, and they just use your software through agents? Is it like that for you?
It depends on the vertical, but yes, like I think you have a very good number of users using HeyReach as a tool, like without, in the tool, and you have a very solid number of, agentic users. Hence why we were, like Stefan said, like I think first in the world to drop the MCP. This week we launched the CLI, Cloud Skills. We improved the MCP, so now it should be even more powerful. I think agentic stuff, it's where it's headed, but you will always have two groups, like users who like the simple life and users who like the agentic life, right?
Yeah, it's super cool to hear. I've been experimenting with personal agents as a founder, and for me personally, I don't like to use software anymore. I really use software through agents, but it's an adoption curve for sure. So that some of the users don't need that, and we even came up with one idea that we are now testing in the product. Is that before that it was the human in the loop. Now it's an agent in the loop. So we are also adding some more capabilities into the MCP so that the user interacts through agent, through their cloud or whatever, but they still have the final say. But the interface that they use to interact with the software is more agentic, and the decisions that they want to make are more high level, should be more high level. That's where we want to go product wise. I mean, they don't want
here's an easy way
they shouldn't. Yeah.
Here's an easy way to validate, like for the people who are still here, like what would you say? Is it agentic or just put SaaS if you're in the tool? And let's settle the score, I guess, at least in this room. But yeah, like I think there's a bunch of like agentic stuff is, I wouldn't say the future, it's right here, right now. Everybody who's more advanced, I think the trend is they use agents in one way or another way.
Yeah. Super cool. Thanks a lot, Vuk. We have a question. Yeah, we do. We have a question from Mika. Do either of you guys have a CLI we can use over MCP, getting ready for dedicated time for this finally? Vuk, you just shared that you shipped the CLI, right?
Yeah. Just type HeyReach.io/CLI and you have everything there.
Awesome. We don't have a CLI yet. We do have an MCP. We do have an API. We extended it recently, but CLI is on the roadmap for sure. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot, everyone who will watch the replay. We will share everything in Luma. Vuk, thanks a lot for being here. Stefan, thanks a lot for making it joyful. Have a great rest of the week and talk soon. See you soon. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.